are live within the Facebook group, and I'm still trying to navigate how to do all of this technology all at the same time. It's kind of interesting. So I'm going to have my phone available so that I can comment back to you on these lives. I think that would be an easy solution for me. And I will be placing this video within the course for you after it's recorded. Give me at least a day to make sure I get everything, because I have to like download it and then upload it to YouTube and then put it into the course. So sometimes that gets a little messy. But welcome to our first intro night on the Yoga Sutras. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Okay, so this course is about the Yoga Sutras, and this is the text that I will be referring to. I don't always like to reference page numbers because there is a large print version and a small print version, and the page numbers are slightly different. So you will note that I don't reference page numbers, and that's why, because in other like trainings and classes I've been in, that has ran into a problem. It sometimes makes it a little challenging to find them. So you can also get the Yoga Sutras on Kindle as well. And then that makes it a little bit easier to navigate on all of the index, because you can just push right on those. So I have all three. I have the small print, I have the large print, and I have the Kindle version, because this book is so powerful. And every time I'll put it away sometimes and I'll come back to it and it's like, was that in there? I don't remember that. So it'll really like speak to you on what you needed to hear. And that is why you can study so in depth the Yoga Sutras, because there's so many different ways that you can really look at how each sutra is really showing up and what it's describing and what it's talking about, and the many layered facets of the layers of the mind and how that shows up. So within this as well, there are terms. Don't get too caught up in memorizing the terms. It's more about understanding the concepts of the terms. However, if you are interested more in like what is all of these yoga terms to describe things, we do talk about the ego slightly different than American culture talks about the ego. And the Yoga Sutras are referencing what you'll find the language in Ayurveda, which comes from the ancient yoga text. So about who is Patanjali, so the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Patanjali is kind of like how Buddha is in Eastern philosophy, not in the sense that he is a god. In fact, interesting fact, Buddha himself said, and it's quoted and it's written, "Do not honor me or worship me as a god. I am not." Buddha is represented in many different books as an author. Buddha is not one person. There are multiple people writing those books, and Buddha is the title of that person. The same thing with Patanjali. Patanjali, the word represents a wise teacher. And so multiple texts were brought to light of all of the wise teachings that were being represented and replayed over and over. And it was the teaching from the Vedic text. And through that, it a lot of the swamis were teaching, and it came to be known as truth, because it was so true. And we'll in fact talk about that. What is truth, and how do we tell when we should listen to a wise teaching? And he'll even tell you, like, if it's not represented in any religious sacred text, he's like, don't even believe me. Don't, like, just dismiss me. Because if it's not represented in another sacred text, then what I'm saying is not true. And so with that being said, yoga is not a religion. Yoga is a philosophy. And there sometimes for some people become blurry lines. And in this particular translation, which is translated by Swami Satyananda, which I believe is also the guy from Yogaville. If you haven't heard of Yogaville, search that. That's one of my goals. So he's translating the Yoga Sutras. So this is Swami Satyananda's translation. And in his translation, he does reference Christianity a lot, and he will tie it to examples of Christian examples. So if you are a Christian or you were brought up in Christian religion, there will be some similarities that you'll notice, and sometimes it's like, oh. And for me, that was really powerful because it even helped me understand the religion that I was brought up in. It helped me like shed some light on going, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Well, that's powerful. And so it helps you deepen whatever your religion or spiritual practice is. And maybe you just reference the universe, and so the universe is referenced in here. So it references many different types. Again, this is a spiritual practice, which does not mean religion. And you can have a religion and not be spiritual. So to note that difference exists as well. Okay. Again, even if you are watching the replay of this and you have questions while I'm talking, feel free to write those questions, because I can post another video answering those questions, or I can answer it in the next one, or I can even record something or type something. So the questions are great because that helps me become a better teacher as well. So I always appreciate questions, and there is no stupid question, because some of us are beginners and some of us are more advanced, and some of us come from a different story, and we'll talk about that as well. And each story we have will sometimes shade our vision, or it can also allow us to see clearer or see something a different way. So all of your questions, no matter what it is going to be beautiful and worthy, and an answer is available. And if I can't find it, I will ask my mentor and I will get you an answer. So ask away. So within the Yoga Sutras is something that I will often reference, the yamas and niyamas, which is the yoga ethics. And again, you'll see there's a lot of similarities to just what is beneficial for our cultural norms. The difference with yoga is an internal practice. Yoga is for our own self-development. So when it says non-harm, or non-violence, a lot of times we hear that and we think very external. And yoga invites you to see that in an internal way. So when we're practicing our yoga postures, we can say, am I practicing this with nonviolence? Because especially people that are very much into more the fitness aspect of yoga, a lot of times we're pushing through these postures and we're causing ourselves harm. We're causing violence to ourselves because we want to feel the stretch, we want to feel the burn. Not saying that you won't ever, right? Like if our muscles are weak, then we might. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to be violent with ourselves. We're to be practicing our yoga postures and our meditation and everything in a way of causing less harm, to cause less suffering. So that if we're doing it with love, if we're doing it with an intention of self-growth, then that's the beauty. So knowing that the yamas and niyamas are like like what we shouldn't do and then what we should do. And we're gonna look into these a little bit more. If you don't have this book, it's a beautiful book. It's often one that is utilized in yoga teacher trainings, just because it's beautifully explained. There's um, things to think about, like thinking points. There's journaling points within this book, and I will read to you some of this. Know that there is also many guides if you want to further study the Yoga Sutras um, without me or with me even. This is a really lovely one. It's called Inside the Yoga Sutras, and it's pretty thick. There are a couple other versions of study guides as well. There is one that my teacher referenced a while back that was a little fun and lighthearted. I hope one day I can write one of my own. And then another book that I just like to reference. This is Iyengar Yoga. So most people that study the Yoga Sutras in depth are studying more Raja Yoga or classical yoga. But classical yoga is still the foundation of Iyengar Yoga or Hatha Yoga. And those are two different ones. All these different areas, they just have different ways of practicing yoga. They're all still practicing the Yoga Sutras, but they find different ways of practicing. Such as Iyengar Yoga is practicing more of the physical postures, and it's very a little more kind of extreme, and not an extreme in a bad way, but it's a very strict form of practicing, and there are benefits to that, but it is more for the able body, so without injuries. You're already in a somewhat decent physical state, no chronic illness. That being said, there is people that have done it and they have recovered from those, so that is possible. It's about picking one that feels good for you. So the yoga practice, my baseline teaching, hi, I'm Izzy, if you don't know me. My baseline teaching came from Hatha. My 200 hour was Hatha. And Hatha focuses more on the seat and your seated posture and holding the poses for an extended period of time and then taking a little break. And I did used to teach more of that way, and I still do occasionally, but I then have done my advanced training in yoga therapy and trauma. And oh gosh, what else have I done? I'm a hypnotherapist as well, and I've done advanced meditation trainings. And I really had started to go down the path of Raja Yoga, and Raja means king or royalty. And this was the age-old sage wisdom that was given to the kings, and allowing them to be more in the moment, to allow them to have more wisdom or connect more toward the wisdom, and have more peace. Because what good would a king be if he was acting out of anger all the time or acting out of just lack of control? Wouldn't be very kingly. And this is why, one of the reasons why, my monthly yoga program is called Balanced Goddess, because we want to channel our higher self. And in yoga, that's called the Buddhi, and our higher self. And we're really looking for that balance, because when we honor our higher, wiser self, we act different when we come from that source versus from our lower self. And the beauty is on this is that is the same that's true even within our more scientific thinking of the brain. So, yay, I'm seeing people. Okay. See, I can see you all on here. It's beautiful. So thanks for watching. I'm so glad you're here. So in the brain, our more limbic system, when a child is growing, this lower portion of the brain, which is why they throw these tantrums and they're very in the moment and a little bit more animalistic, because literally that is the part of the brain that they're functioning from. It's what's available to them. And that's very easy for us to go back to that animalistic part of our mind. That's where we've spent our early years. And that is why in learning like hypnotherapy, that is why like most of our memories, 50 to 90% of our memories, are subconscious thinking. So, which is your programming for how you work and how you run, comes from the ages of 0 to 7 years old. 50 to 90% of our subconscious programming, thoughts, memories, everything that's affecting our judgment and our choices is coming from the ages of 0 to 7. And that is why it's so important for us to look at our mind and to sort through our mind and really go like, what is this? Like, why do I keep making these choices? Why do I keep self-sabotaging myself? Why do I want to do this, but I seem to keep doing this other thing? I tell some of my clients, I'm like, when you keep dating the same type of person over and over again, or maybe you keep having the same money issues over and over again. So a lot of these things will show up, and these even show up, and what I work with a lot in yoga therapy, and why this is so important is our physical ailments, such as our skin, our eyes, if we're having a lot of injuries, if we're having unexplained pain, unexplained like chronic illnesses, even coming down to cancer and all of that, like anything that is physically showing up for you is coming from the mind. Of course, some people will be like, oh, well, I had a car crash. That is why. Even in those circumstances, the rate of healing can be affected by the mind. So to please know how powerful the mind is, and this is why the Yoga Sutras focus so much on the mind. Even Kundalini Yoga, so if you have not heard of Kundalini Yoga, Kundalini is a lot about cleansing or kriyas. And within the kriyas and this cleansing process, it is chakra system. And even the chakra system is affected by the mind. So within the Yoga Sutras and within yoga therapy and within the Vedic text and Ayurveda, all of those use this system of, there's the bliss body in the center, which is our pure self, our perfect self, our union with everything and with source or creator or God or however you reference it. Then there's the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is the layer that's sometimes protecting us, but also hindering us. And from the subconscious mind is then the chakras, which is why a lot of yogis and energetic people are always focused about those chakras. It's the closest thing in that from the subconscious. And then there's the thinking mind. Okay, the thinking mind. Then there is the prana, our energy, so our breath. And a lot of yoga practices will work with prana. So we can do mudras or we can do pranayama, breath work. And then there's the physical body. So what often happens is the subconscious is moving and affecting the chakras, and then it's affecting how we think. Then it's affecting our energy, and then it's affecting our body. So if something is showing up in your body, the quickest way to get to the problem is just to work with the subconscious, but we can go through all of it. Okay. Danielle had a great question. Let's see. What about people who say their newfound disease or ailment is genetic? Okay, so this is the great question. This happened a lot, and I even studied this in my undergrad in kinesiology and health. And my teacher was a beautiful, fit woman who she ran every day. She looked like one of the healthiest people I'd ever seen. And She said that all of her family is overweight and has a lot of genetic diseases. A lot of times we use genetic diseases as an excuse, and that's because our subconscious has been programmed from a very early age that it is genetic and that you don't have any control over it. Even to the way someone walks. People will say, oh, it's genetic. Those are learned behaviors. So we watch the way our parents walk. We try to mimic the way our parents walk. Genetic problems can come about from the way the parents think. I come from a mom who is a chronic complainer. Anytime something starts to go good, she will whip it around and make it bad or give up on it and start complaining about it. Now, if I was to tell her this, which I've tried that before, it was not a good idea. And I'm sure you might have had someone in your life where you can see the problem, right? You can see exactly what's going on for them, but you can't just tell them. They have to see it. They have to see it. And so this is why it's so important, like the Yoga Sutras say, for you personally have to do this. You cannot change anyone. They have to change themselves. All we can do is be a good example. So with genetic conditions, if everyone has told you your whole life that like everyone in the family gets cancer, and you're going to get cancer, you can make that happen by believing it. And we've found this to be true in case studies where doctors have given people placebo pills and told them that it will cure their cancer, and their cancer evaporated. Literally, it disappeared. And then when they found out that it was just a placebo pill and that it wasn't real, their cancer came back. It wasn't real. And this is why yoga therapy is really working a lot with cancer patients, because you have so much control over how your genetics affect. And I have one friend, she just finished her PhD a couple years ago in this, and I was previously planning on going to med school until I had some experiences with that. But I studied a lot of biology and I loved genetics actually. And you can actually turn your genes on and off, kind of like a light switch. You turn it on, turn it off, you activate it, deactivate it. And you can even alter your DNA, your genetic coding, with meditation. These are Harvard case studies that have proven this is possible. Over 6 last time I had looked into it. And it's amazing. Like, genetics, never let that be an excuse. There is no excuse. You have full control. You have to get over the subconscious beliefs. So if you are not in control of your subconscious beliefs, then you're not in control. But you have the availability to get into control. And if you are curious in the hypnotherapy session, I do a free consultation. Danielle's also available. She does them as well. So we're both available on those. And then we're going to learn a lot about this, how you can do a lot of these things yourself through the Yoga Sutras. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to offer this to be available for free, because you have the right to know how to control your mind. This is your right. And like, even if you only attend this session and know that this stuff is available to you, like, please know that this is possible. And this is also too, like, I want to be a resource for you. I never want you to think that you are completely alone and that there is no hope. And if you have a friend that thinks that or anything, please always know that there are resources available. I guarantee, like, any yoga teacher will be available for you. So even if you have a yoga friend, they love being asked questions. And not all of them possibly have the most in-depth knowledge of my studying, because I have over 1,000 hours, kind of a little crazy, of just like classroom study. So, and then there's my own personal practice as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about me too. And yeah, if you have any questions, post them below. If this is a replay or live, get them in there. I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So the Yoga Sutras course, you can read the book along with it. You don't have to. So I will be in your online course. And if you're not signed up for the online course, you can go to FigLeaf.Yoga.com. There will be a little course link for the mini Yoga Sutras course. Just go in there, enter your email, sign up on Teachable. If you already have a Teachable account, you can go in through it that way. If you are on Teachable, you log in through all of that. You should be able to get the app as well, so you can take the course on your phone, which is pretty cool. Within each course, or within each module of the course, is an audio recording. And that will be me talking about the specified Yoga Sutra. And so each one of these like verses within it are called a sutra. So in each one of the verses, or that's how I refer to them anyways. So each verse that we'll be going over will be specified. There will be a PDF document that talks about it. It's not the same of what I'm saying in the audio. So that's an important note. So there's an audio, then there is a little bit of reading. It's like 2 pages of a PDF and with some pretty pictures, so it's not full 2 pages. And then I will also then be posting these live videos in there too. So you get a lot for a little free course. Again, because I want this to be available to you. So if you have a friend that you think would be interested in this, send it over to them, tell them to get enrolled because it's free. We're only touching on just a little bit. And I am planning on making a full study session because I will be opening up my yoga school, and I use air quotes because you don't have to go to yoga school to be a yoga teacher. You can go to it for the self journey in deepening your yoga practice. So studying the Yoga Sutras, studying how to do the asana for yourself, studying, and you can have courses that you can take individually. I'll have some intro to Ayurveda. I am planning on, I was just talking before this, hosting a detox within the group that is Ayurveda based, along with some modern stuff as well. So that will be coming up. And so I'm going to start putting a lot of the free courses on FigLeaf.Yoga.com. So that will be available to you. And then I also have some bigger courses, and I have a monthly membership with yoga and coaching. So the coaching is the bigger part. The yoga is the supplement. And then there's a weekly meditation as well. So lots of resources available. And I'm always like, if you need something or you wish something was available, let me know, because that's how things are created, is people saying, I have a need for something. So I'm also a nutritionalist. So that's where this detox and stuff will be coming in. I joke, I'm like a serial certification person. I have over 26 certifications in health, fitness, wellness, corrective alignment, sports medicine, yoga therapy, hypnotherapy, just a host of things, cycling. Just a host of things. So know that I am available to you if you have questions. I used to work at a physical therapy clinic. I have one-on-one clients that I work with. I also I'm finishing up my MBA, so I do business consulting for holistic practitioners and spiritual entrepreneurs. So we're looking at having a monthly spiritual entrepreneurship call for ladies coming up. So there's just a host of things, and I really am so glad that you're part of this community. And I want to know about you all, because this is how we learn, we connect. And we just found out there's a new Facebook function. So within this group, we can have a group video chat now. So we can pop on and have group video chats and just kind of have a little party. I should get certified in certifications. Well, technically, I think that's what an MBA is. Or my day job, one of my day jobs, I also create courses and help create, is what I'm working on, help creating certifications. So I guess technically that would be certified in certifications. I've taken enough. I know what a good certification looks like, because I've gone through some really bad ones too. So I'm curious, like, comment below, like, if you're certified and stuff, like, let's hear what you're certified into. This group is not just all about me and my promotion. Like, if you're certified in stuff too, like, we want to hear about it. This is a group community. This is not just a pop in here and only see what Izzy has to say. This is like, I want you all commenting on things. Like, let's support each other. I love when I see these little threads and people start commenting on each other's and they're like, oh yeah, me too. Like, I want that. That's amazing. I really want, these live group chats. Like, I'm so excited to do that. So let's finish up. If I haven't taken too long yet, with non-harm, violence to others and violence on ourselves. Let's not do that. Ahimsa is the first yama, and really allowing ourselves to not only look at it as like, okay, I won't do nonviolence, right? But what is the opposite of nonviolence? So if we're not doing violence, then what are we doing? Because we also want to just not refrain from it. Because if we're just refraining, I don't know if you've ever had this before, where if you've said, okay, I can't have chocolate for a week, what do you crave? Or what's on your mind? And we do this in abundance thought. Like, we don't want our thought to be, you're certified in milking cows? Really? Is that, you can get certified in milking cows? Like, I know welding, but like, that's impressive. And like, you might have to do a live demonstration on that one, Danielle. So, milking cows. I've milked a cow before. I've milked a goat. It's actually very calming. And hand milking is much healthier for them than the machines, right? Okay, so questions for exploration. This is why I love video chats. You never know. You never know. Yes, peace, self-love, right? If we can't love ourselves, how is anyone else going to love us? Or how are they going to know how to love us? How are we going to know what kind of love we want from others if we don't even know how to love ourselves, right? So ultimately, we have just one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves, more and more peace, and to reflect it towards others. And the more peace there is within us, the more peace there will also be in our troubled world. I'll repeat that one more time. Ultimately, we have just one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves. And so that might be a question in itself. How do you reclaim the large pieces of peace that you need for yourself? More and more peace. If we had more and more peace and we could reflect it towards others, how would our life change? How would our relationships with people change? And the more peace there is within us, the more peace there will also be in our troubled world. Because our world is right here. Everyone's walking around in their own little worlds. And we can say people show up and come into our little world and then they leave. But we are all in our own little worlds. Yes, it is kind of like the Matrix. Like we are all in our own little heads. We have these scenarios playing out in our heads all day, and we expect that people know what scenarios are running through our heads. And they don't, because they're in their own head running through their own scenarios. And so this is an important part of yoga. Acceptance. Yes. Good one, Bethany. We definitely reclaim peace by accepting ourselves. And that's where like awareness is always the first step of anything, right? In yoga, the Yoga Sutras, the Vedic text, are over 5,000 years old. Over 5,000 years old. And they were telling us that awareness is the first step. They were telling us to reclaim the peace inside of us. So yes, and understanding and compassion, and you'll be amazed at how wise the Yoga Sutras and the Vedic text are. So week 1, practice courage by doing one thing daily that you wouldn't normally do. If you're feeling brave, make that something that scares you. And how is it that you can show love and peace, right? Because love and peace does scare us sometimes. Doing something to help someone, to step up and offer an encouraging word. Maybe it's to get on live and share your favorite poems or studies. How is it that you can offer love and peace? What's something that scares you in a way that you can offer peace? And see if you can discern between fear and unfamiliar, right? Because a lot of times we fear the unfamiliar, but is it really fear? Because fear is like survival mode, or is it just that it's unfamiliar and so you're doubting? Is it doubt? Watch what happens when you sense yourself and how your relationships with other might be different because you're courageously stepping into unknown territory. So maybe, you're scared to maybe talk to your mother, and because you haven't talked to her in a while, or something of that sort, and to just come into a relationship in love because you don't know what a loving relationship would be like with your mom. Or maybe it's that you don't know what that's going to look like. You don't know if she'll accept your love. And you can replace this with any person, right? Maybe it's that again, that's unfamiliar, and I'm making this up on the spot. Just notice what shows up for you. Maybe you're so used to complaining about your relationship with your mom that that's your norm, and you don't know what life would be like if you lost that source of complaining or drama. I know that's a big therapeutic one right there. Okay. Another one it offers for week 2 is guard your balance as if it's your most precious resource. And this is where I hear a lot of controversy come about with some religions and not liking yoga, because yoga does talk about being selfless, but it also talks about what is selfish, and that we all come from a place of self. So to be selfish is not actually the correct word that we should be using, because to be selfish, meaning to guard our own peace. And that's talking a lot about boundaries. And there are whole books written on boundaries, that we should guard our own peace, because that is our most precious prize that we hold. Because when we lose our peace, we start to lose our morals and lose our values, and we go into stress response. And like, there's just a whole host of things that happen. We still want to be selfless. We still want to give to others, but we do have to have our boundaries. And that is a tough one that I find our society, our culture really, really lacks. And so that's an important one. And I do have a new boundaries course that is being created. And I think I currently only have it for like $15 because it's in the works. So if you get it now, it's at a cheaper price. And that's on the webpage, but that wasn't my main point. That was just a side note. In the moment, do you need more sleep? Do you need more exercise? Do you need to eat differently? Do you need to pray? Do you need variety in your life? Notice, what is it that your body is craving? How can you add more peace to yourself? And again, this is where we can see subconscious beliefs showing up, because maybe we've been told so much that self-care is something that you have to earn, and that having your own peace is being selfish. So notice that. Notice how that shows up for you. Do you meditate every morning? Maybe that's something you want to do. Maybe it's something you don't want to do. But what is it, the things, the self-care practices that you wish you could do? The self-care practices that if you were told you were going to die in 3 months from now, what would you actively seek to include in your days to give yourself more peace? Because we shouldn't say that's available in the future, or I'll do that when. We need to be living in the moment, and we need to say, oh, if that's what's really important, then I should wake up in the morning and put that as a priority, or I should do that before bed because that is a priority. So I hope that helps. I hope these give you some things to think about for today. If you go over and get enrolled in the course, I believe day 1 in that intro, it just asks you, like, what is it? Oh, thank you. I'm finishing up too, Bethany. And it's always on a replay. So thank you so much for joining. So go over to the course, and it just asks you to comment within the course. Like, what is it that caused you to sign up for this? What is it that you hope to get out of this? So just set some intentions for what you're hoping to move forward with, especially after participating in day 1. Like, what is it that you really want to learn? And to make sure that I can hit that for you, but also to look back at day 1 and go, did that happen? Like, what did I really learn? Did I learn that, or did I learn more? Or was it that I thought that's what I needed and I really needed something else? So notice that for you. Again, just showing you the books. So Yamas and Niyamas, Yoga Sutras, inside the Yoga Sutras, and then I reference some other books. By no means do you need to get them. This one does not look like a book that I would reference, right? Structural yoga therapy. But actually it talks a lot about, like, what's behind the postures. So I'll even reference that one sometimes too. But yeah. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And have a nice night. I will see you all tomorrow.